Have you ever noticed how fast your mind can destroy your mood? One email, one message left on read, one small mistake, and suddenly your brain jumps in with urgency. This is really bad. I've messed everything up. This is going to ruin my life. Your chest tightens. Your stomach drops. Your breathing changes. Your energy disappears. Nothing has actually happened yet, but your body reacts as if the worst-case scenario has already arrived. That mental habit has a name. It's called catastrophizing, and it's one of the most common and most powerful cognitive distortions linked to anxiety, depression, burnout, and emotional exhaustion. Who I am and why this matters. My name is Dr. Hannah. I'm a psychologist who focuses on emotional regulation and practical mental health skills, the kind you can actually use in the moment when your mind is spiraling, not just understand intellectually. And today, we're going to talk about catastrophizing in a way that's compassionate, grounded, practical, not judgmental, not about forcing positive thinking, and not about pretending life doesn't come with real challenges, losses, or risks. Because catastrophizing isn't about being dramatic. It's about how your brain responds to uncertainty and how that response can quietly shrink your life if you don't learn to work with it. What catastrophizing really is. Catastrophizing isn't just thinking negative. It's when your mind takes a problem, jumps immediately to the worst possible outcome, treats that outcome as inevitable, and reacts emotionally as if it's already happening. In other words, catastrophizing creates false urgency. Your brain sends a message that sounds like, this is dangerous, this is serious, you need to panic right now, and when that happens, your nervous system goes into survival mode. Logic shuts down, perspective disappears. Everything feels bigger, heavier, and more threatening than it actually is. Why catastrophizing feels so real. Here's why catastrophizing is so convincing. Catastrophic thoughts don't feel like thoughts. They feel like warnings. They sound urgent. They feel intense. They demand your attention. Because they come with physical sensations, tight chest, nausea, racing heart, your brain assumes they must be true. But urgency is not accuracy. Your brain is incredibly good at detecting possible danger. It's much worse at predicting what will actually happen. From an evolutionary perspective, catastrophizing makes sense. Your brain evolved to ask, what's the worst that could happen? Because thousands of years ago, missing danger could mean death. So your nervous system learned, scan for threats. Imagine worst-case scenarios. Prepare the body to survive. The problem is, that system was designed for predators, not emails, conversations, or performance reviews. In modern life, that same survival system gets activated by social rejection, uncertainty, mistakes, ambiguity, and instead of protecting you, it keeps you stuck in a constant state of emotional emergency. A common example. Let's take a simple situation. You make a small mistake at work. Catastrophizing doesn't stop at, I made a mistake. It escalates. They'll lose trust in me. My boss is disappointed. I'm going to get fired. I'll never recover from this. I'm a failure. One moment turns into a life sentence. And your nervous system responds as if you're in real danger. Motivation drops. Avoidance increases. Shame creeps in. Not because your job is actually at risk, but because your brain predicts collapse. You are not weak, broken, overly sensitive. Catastrophizing is not a character flaw. Defective. Catastrophizing is not a personality trait. It's a learned coping strategy. Often, it develops in people who grew up in unpredictable environments, were criticized harshly for mistakes, learned that failure had serious consequences, had to stay hyper alert to emotional shifts. Your brain learned, if I expect the worst, I won't be caught off guard. That strategy may have helped you once, but now it's costing you peace. The real cost of catastrophizing. When catastrophizing becomes a habit, it doesn't just affect your thoughts. It changes how you live. You might notice yourself avoiding decisions because what if I choose wrong? Avoiding conversations because it could go badly. avoiding opportunities because I'll probably fail, avoiding hope because disappointment feels unbearable. Over time, this leads to anxiety, disorders, depression, burnout, emotional numbness, not because your life is doomed, but because your mind keeps convincing you that it is. The core belief under catastrophizing. Here's the deeper truth most people miss. Catastrophizing is not really about the future. It's about self-trust. At its core, the fear isn't something bad will happen, I wouldn't be able to handle it if it did. That belief is what fuels the spiral. So the goal is not to convince yourself that nothing bad will ever happen. That's unrealistic. The goal is to rebuild trust in your ability to cope. Name the pattern, not the story. The first step is awareness, without self-attack. When you notice a spiral starting, say, "This is catastrophizing. My brain is jumping to the worst-case scenario." This is a thought pattern, not a fact. You're not arguing with the thought. You're not suppressing it. You're labeling it. And that creates distance. You are not. I'm doomed. You are. I'm having a catastrophic thought. That shift alone can reduce intensity by 30–40%. Separate possibility from probability. Catastrophizing confuses possible with likely. Yes, many things are possible. Ask yourself, how often has this exact fear come true? What evidence supports this outcome? What evidence contradicts it? Most catastrophic outcomes have very low probability, little real-world evidence, a long history of not happening. This isn't denial, it's reality checking. Move from outcome control to coping confidence. Here's a powerful question to ask. If this went badly, could I cope? Not perfectly, gracefully, without pain. Could I survive it? Most of the time, the honest answer is yes. And that answer calms the nervous system, because confidence doesn't come from certainty, it comes from knowing you can respond. Why regulating the body matters. Catastrophizing is not just cognitive, it's physiological. When your nervous system is activated, thoughts become more extreme, fear feels more believable, perspective narrows, so regulation is essential. That might look like slow, deep breathing, grounding exercises, physical movement, reducing stimulation. A calmer body sends a powerful message to the brain there is no immediate danger, and the catastrophic thoughts lose intensity. Living without catastrophizing doesn't mean living without risk. This is important to say. Life includes mistakes, discomfort, rejection, loss. Catastrophizing tries to eliminate those experiences, but in doing so, it also eliminates growth, joy, meaning. You don't need certainty to live well. You need self-trust. Your mind isn't predicting the future. It's trying to protect you from imagined pain, using fear as its primary language. When you learn to recognize catastrophizing, you stop treating fear as fact and start building a relationship with yourself based on trust. You are not your worst-case scenario. You are someone learning how to meet uncertainty with clarity, courage, and compassion. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you feel understood or steadier, consider liking, subscribing, or sharing it with someone who struggles with anxiety or overthinking. And remember, emotional regulation is a skill. You're not broken. You're learning. Take care of yourself. You're worth the effort.